Alright, so this is from the Wild Robot. Learn how to draw the characters.
Are you going to show me how to draw Roz?
I will. Let's do it.
Let's. Activating learning mode.
Roz is a series of circles. So that's what we're going to be mostly doing. We'll start high, so we have room, and just a circle
I did skip ahead to the point where they're drawing, FYI.
to begin with.
The circle is not an easy thing to draw. Tell your people not to worry.
I usually have her looking like a little off to the side, so I'd say like another circle, pretty much dead center.
That's her first eye, dead center.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the second eye, I just do an oval next to it, and that's going to give us a nice implied volume
Oh, yeah.
for her head.
Oh, that's much better. Cool.
Okay.
Turn the light off.
That's great. She has some depth to her lenses, so her inner lens I always throw in, and it can be a little bit off center. It doesn't have to be perfectly centered. And then her far lens, it's like we're seeing that little lens a little bit more in profile. Again, I think that gives us a little bit of depth, a little dimension and volume on her head.
Okay.
So her neck is pretty simple and cylindrical, just a little straight tube for her neck. And you know what I always do? I learned this from a guy named Scott Shaw. I throw in a little shadow, and that again gives it just a little bit of dimension.
Was this task accomplished to your satisfaction?
Onto her body. That's another sphere, a little larger. And you can throw that in kind of lightly, just sneak it in there so you know where it's going.
Larger.
Yeah, perfect. I think yours is going to fit on the page, and mine is going to end up going off the page. I think my Roz is going to end up with some short legs. I think I started a little too large. I thought I was doing well, but I'm a little too large. This is not
Listen,
atypical.
I feel very good about myself right now.
You're doing great.
Considering I'm working with a pro.
How would you rate my performance?
And she's got some smaller spheres for shoulders, and they sit pretty high.
So up here.
Her arms, if you want to get a little more accurate, her arms are a little larger at the bottom than they are at the top. They flare out a little bit.
Okay. They're very long too.
Yes. So her hands are also, they start as spheres.
Okay.
And then we just throw 4 fingers. One of them can be a thumb.
Okay. Right.
She has a little bit of a waist above her pelvis. It's just a real small little block that comes down. And then another half sphere for her pelvis.
I think my Rose is slimmer than she's supposed to be, but okay.
I do not understand this response.
Then again, a couple of other spheres for her
Hip joints, so
hip joint.
whatever.
Yeah,
Okay. Those are circles.
circles again. So her legs are actually a little bit shorter. She tends to have longer arms than she does long legs. So she's got this upper leg that's a lot like her arm, and then from what would be her knee down, this one is a little bit more triangular. Again, they flare more at the bottom. These, I think really her calves. Lower legs, her calves, they flare a little bit.
The stumps.
The fronts of these calves have a little opening.
I like this. This is so
That's where
cool.
her foot's gonna stick out. And she has like a little perimeter on her foot, and I always treat it a little bit like a tennis shoe.
A perimeter on her foot.
Yeah, like a little like rubber.
Like a tennis shoe.
Yeah, like a little perimeter. That gives me the base. I draw a seam. I don't know why. I put a seam down the front. There we go. I don't know why. It helps with dimension. And now you can throw on the matching feet and the matching arm, and they'll end up a little bit behind the other thing.
Okay, a little higher.
You're more accurate to the real Roz. Mine is, I think, more compact.
You see what I did?
Her far hand can be a little more profile, and in profile, her hand is actually a bit of a half circle. The back of her hand
Hopefully
is
it
nice
doesn't
and
get
rounded,
flagged.
and the palm is flat, and some fingers.
I think I know what is missing.
Now, if we want to add a few finishing touches, I always put a couple of lateral lines lines across Roz. And then she has, because she's a sphere within a sphere, you can give this sort of shape here and reveal the inner sphere underneath that outer shell.
Fascinating.
That's really good. That's really good.
I will register that as a 10.
Hold the bar. Our finished Rozes.
Ta-da!
Nice.
A Rosm always completes its task.
Hi, I'm Genevieve Tsai, and I am a character designer and star artist on Love Robot, and I'm going to show you how to draw Fink.
Predator and local goose expert.
So, Fink is a little more complex than Brightbill.
It's in my nature.
He's comprised of ovals and triangles and spheres. So we're going to start with his head.
Shame
We're
didn't
going
include
to
Pager for this.
draw a sphere, and you're going to divide that sphere in half, and that's going to be your guideline for his eyes and his face. For Fink's ears, they're very big triangles that are rounded at the tips. So you want to draw 2 large triangles at the top here, and then right at the center of his face, you're going to draw his eyes.
Hold on 1 second. Of course, you can slow this down so you can draw slower. It's okay.
One on this side and the one on this side.
Noted.
And you can draw 2 little eyebrows here. And for his mouth, you want to draw a cone, kind of like shaped like this. He usually has a snaggle tooth sticking up in the front here. So you just want to have a little triangle here, and then an upside down triangle for his nose. Now connect the cone to that triangle, and then you want to add tufts for his cheeks. And you have his head. Now you're going to try to draw his neck. So you're going to have a big tube from the middle of that cone that you just drawn for his muzzle to the back of his head. And then 2 spheres here for his shoulders and his hindquarters. Now you're going to draw like an S shape going from his neck to the back of his body. And it's going to intersect those 2 spheres that you just drew. And then you're going to draw his tail. Now his tail is really fun to draw because it's big and fluffy. And have a lot of fun with it. But just make sure that the end of
It's literally a big feather.
and the part that connects to his hindquarters is thinner. You can just draw a zigzag for the end of his tail, like the fox's markings. And you have his tail done.
Seems good to me.
And now we just have to draw the legs. You're probably going to have an easier time if you draw sticks going down from the sphere in the front and down from the sphere in the back. Now, quadrupeds usually have a bend in their knee, so we're going to change directions on those sticks. So Pandra's drawing arrows like this, and arrows like this. So one for his back leg here and one for his back leg here. And then we're going to draw his paws. His paws are like half circles. And you can draw his little toes in the middle of
They actually
those
look like
half
horse
circles.
hooves.
Now you want to finish the legs up, give them some meat there.
Everything is working great.
So cool.
So now we're going to take another step further and see if we can make it more detailed.
This whole thing might not take as long as you think.
I'm going to make another layer here and we can draw over our sketch.
Breaking the rules?
Now if you want more personality, you can add some tufts to the top of his head. Fill in some of the markings on the top of his ears.
Just fill in the blanks.
And then we can have some whiskers. And then a little bit more fur. It's very fuzzy. And his white markings go from the top of his nose to the bottom of the back of his mouth and connect to his cheek. And you want to add more neck fluff here, more markings here, and more fluff at the very back of his arms. If you want, you can also add little toenails
That's not.
and continue the markings in the back of his legs. Add your finishing touches,
Just have a little fun.
and that's how you draw Fink.
Amazing!
Amazing.
I'm a fox. I do foxy things.
Hi, I'm Genevieve Asai, and I am a character designer and story artist for Wild Robot. I'm going to teach you how to draw Baby Brightbill. So, Baby Brightbill is comprised of spheres and triangles and ovals. You run around, so you're going to start with.
I like how they tell you what shapes to use. That's super smart.
And you want to divide that sphere in half, and then another time from top to bottom, and that's your guideline for his face. And you want to start with his beak. So his beak is right in the center of that vertical line. You're going to make an upside down U. His beak will be almost like an L shape, macaroni L shape, bending from the top to the bottom, and for the end of his beak, you're going to draw a little S line so that you get his little open mouth. Eat. Draw like an open triangle down to the bottom and put a little tongue there. And now we're going to do his eyes. His eyes are almost like rounded triangles or ovals that slant backwards. So he's smiling here, and when you do his pupils, make sure they're very big, round circles. You can fill them in, big and black and cute. You can even add little highlights at the end. You probably want to make the top of his eyes a little darker, just to show his eyelashes. And he has little eyebrows at the very top here on each side. 1, 2. And don't forget the tuft of hair, top of his head. Perfect. Then you want to round out his cheeks a little bit, which just starts from the bottom of his eye to the bottom of his beak. You can keep it simple. Now we're going to start with his body. His body is almost like a very soft, marshmallowy triangle.
That is true.
So, kind of like this shape. Almost like a bean. The small part is on the top, the larger on the bottom.
Or a peanut.
Now divide that triangle in half and connect the top for his neck to his head. And add another rounded triangle at the very bottom of that body, and that's his little tail. He doesn't have that many feathers, so you don't have to add too many feathers here, but just keep it simple. Now when you do his wings, think about like an upside down heart. It's very tiny, but you don't have to finish the other side of the heart. And the feet are going to be 2 little sticks at the very bottom pointing towards each other. And at the very bottom of the sticks, you're going to add 2 triangles. Think of them as pizza slices.
Good metaphor.
Part of the crust is pointing towards you, and the end of the pizza is pointing towards the little sticks that you just drew. Now
Aww.
we're going to try to take that to the next step and do a little bit more detail. Let me make another layer here, and then you can draw over it. And let's go back up to his head. He's got really chubby cheeks. You can add some extra tufts there if you want to. More markings here. Fill in some of the markings on the top of his eyes to make it extra cute. You can add some tufts to his body. And then the last touch is for his little toes. I'm going to draw 3 guidelines separating those triangles you draw his little toes, they're kind of squiggly lines, like an upside down W. So he's got little nails, which are tiny little triangles at the end of spheres here. Squiggly line, toenail, squiggly line, toenail. Add your finishing touches.
Hmm.
And that's how you draw Brightbill.
So cute.
Hi, I'm Genevieve Tsai, and I am a character designer and story artist for Wild Robot. And I'm going to show you how to draw Pinktail.
Yeah, they should have included all the characters that voiced them.
Good luck.
Pinktail
Or people.
is comprised of shapes that look like chocolate kisses and half domes and noodles. She's a very fun character to draw.
Patience is the key.
So you want to try drawing a chocolate kiss for her head, and you want to divide that chocolate kiss here in the center, and at the very bottom of the chocolate kiss you want to draw two little beady eyes, because possums have tiny little eyes at the base of their head.
That looks like an onion.
Pinktail is usually very tired.
A tired onion.
6 babies.
It's a full-time thing.
So you can give her some very tired eyebrows here, and then you want to draw her muzzle. Her muzzle kind of curves upwards because her snout loops up like this, and you're going to draw a little gumdrop at the top. A little nostril. Probably want to draw little whiskers here.
So now you know how to draw a tired onion.
And when you draw her mouth, you're probably going to make the mouth go past her eyes a little bit. Just do a little squiggly line after the cone. In this drawing, I'm not making her smile because she's tired.
Well, this is what I get for taking a walk.
But you can make her smile if you want.
We just make it up.
And then at the top of her head, there are also chocolate kisses for her ears. And they're very tiny, and you can fill them in with black. Possums have tiny black ears. Now, her body is like a backwards C. And you want to fill that in here. She's going to be hanging from her tail upside down. So backwards C here for the back of her body, and for the belly, just draw a really straight line going from the top of that C down to her head. Now her arms are going to be dangling.
Yeah, they do that.
And you want to draw two little fang shapes for her arms. Curving in towards each other. So her arms are just hanging in there with tiny little 5 fingers at the very end of those fangs. Possums have very articulate, tiny little hands, so you can also add tiny little nails here and knuckles. And those are her arms. Now for her back legs, they're just big haunches, and you can just draw big C's.
Yeah, that.
Going from the top of that straight line to about almost halfway down that straight line. And then you're going to draw a teardrop shape for one of her legs sticking out, and another teardrop shape on the other side.
Are you sure?
But that one's going to be hidden, so you can erase that later.
Go away.
Now we're going to draw a spaghetti bundle that is wrapping around a stick. Probably want to draw the stick first, so it's just easier to visualize.
Mm-hmm.
You take the noodle and wrap it around like this, probably a few times. Twist it around. It's going to look like little C shapes here, like jelly beans that are stretched towards the side. And then you want to add the end of the tail, which could be just a tiny little triangle there.
Stop jamming your tail in your sister's eye.
Now we're going to try a little bit more finishing touches for Pinktail
Get your butt back up in the air where it belongs.
and add her babies.
It's all you.
Oh, God.
Make it look good.
So we're going to take that drawing that we did here, and if you you're working digitally, you can make it lighter and then you can draw over it. Or if you're working by pencil, you can take a marker and draw over it. We're going to add more personality to her and more fluff so that you can get more structure in her possum body. And you can add some fluff at the elbows here. Like I said before, she's very tired, so she's going to have eyelids that kind of droop down. And then add some tufts of fur on the side of her cheeks here. And you can blacken the ears again. And then you want to add a baby, maybe one on her back.
You're lucky you just have one.
The baby is really easy to draw.
It's not all bad. Just mostly bad.
You just draw a sphere for the baby's body, a little noodle that twists around for her tail, another chocolate kiss for her head, and 2 little chocolate kisses for the ears. Now, these chocolate kisses for the babies are a lot bigger than Mama's ears. And another cone for the nose. So, this.
Oh,
And you can add more
precious.
babies wrapped around her.
The prettiest possum always rides in front.
So again, circle and a chocolate kiss.
And of course, if you're gonna make her bigger, there you go.
So I'm just gonna add one more, so she has 3.
Who are all of you?
That's impressive.
And you want to fill that in here for the back of her body, and that's how you draw Pinktail and her babies.
No.
Bye. We like your new baby.